Hi everyone, my name's Austin and this is my project showcase. I decided to create a content strategy and plan for Ford Motor Company, or Ford as most of us know, the major car manufacturer. I really wanted to challenge myself with a new product and industry. Outside of driving a car with some sort of regularity, I don't know much about cars and I wouldn't consider myself a car enthusiast or a gearhead or anything like that. So it was a fun opportunity to learn about a new industry, but also leverage some of the marketing experience and skills that I have and try to make something effective for them. My content strategy was really straightforward. I'll talk more about the target market in a minute, but really what I wanted to focus my content on was a couple of key demographics. I love to be outdoors personally. I grew up in Montana and spent a lot of time fishing, hiking, you name it. And I wanted to make sure that the content I was creating was really tailored towards people who are considering or evaluating a car purchase, ideally a Ford, and to also share those same characteristics, to love being outdoors and to need the vehicle to really help them achieve what they need to do with it. In terms of the specific content, I wanted to communicate a really consistent but personable feel and to really leverage those personal experiences I have with Ford vehicles with respect to the outdoors and communicate that well in the content. I also wanted to create content that could facilitate a community of Ford users and to help create lasting Ford customers out of current Ford customers and to bring new Ford customers into the customer purchase journey. I also really wanted to communicate how Ford, out of the major car dealers or manufacturers, I should say, is an industry leader, and we'll talk more about that. My strategy objectives were to generate legitimate, lasting, positive brand awareness, to build a lot of intrigue about Ford's upcoming plans, and to really create a lot of hype for them. I also wanted to facilitate, as previously mentioned, the building of a Ford family or community online, whether that's on social media or in blogs or forums or whatever it may be. And again, as previously mentioned, I wanted to make sure that Ford was established as an environmental leader, and we'll talk more about that. My first target in terms of the audience is an 18 to 24-year-old male. College Cole is what we've called him. A lot of college aged or high school graduate aged people are in this weird spot where they have either inherited an old car as a gift from parents, or they've purchased an older vehicle because it was what they could afford, and find themselves in this customer journey where they really need a new vehicle. And so I really wanted to help instill that Ford was a good option and something that could help them, have the experiences they want to have as a high school or a college student. The other target audience is also male, but slightly older, college graduate, 25 to 34 years old, and somebody ideally in the outdoor industry in terms of what they do for a living. Specifically here, Greg is a guide, a fishing guide or a hunting guide, and he's in need of a vehicle that can help him perform work for his clients and for people who pay him to facilitate fun experiences in the outdoors. My first piece of content was an optimized blog post, and I'll pull that up here. I leveraged a lot of personal experience in this. It's actually a true story, so I'll make sure to include the link. But this blog post is designed to help people in the post-purchase customer phase to build community with other people who have purchased Ford vehicles or had good experiences with Ford vehicles. So I include this story. I include some images, some of just the area that's in reference, and some personal images as well. I feel like this is a good way to help people relate. And I feel really confident that this blog post, as constituted, is a good way to help generate page views, to get good time on page, and ideally to get more people interested in being a part of this community. So I used Google Suite and Squarespace to both build and publish this one, and it was a really fun project. My next piece of content, I should say, was an infographic. This was under the create section. I wanted to communicate really simply here Ford's push to really dominate the electric vehicle market in terms of the major car manufacturers here in the US and domestic or internationally. So this is part of the evaluation stage of the customer. And I feel like infographics are really simple. They're a direct way to communicate a brand stance or brand image. To build this ad, which highlights the 2022 Ford Mustang, which is an all-electric vehicle, I used Adobe Spark. And this is something that could be easily used in a variety of different mediums, but I specifically built it for social media use and for print ad magazine use. Social media, it's quite easy to track awareness and engagement, and those are really the metrics we're going to want to look for and ways that we'll be able to measure the success of this one. My final piece of content was a commercial length video that I posted to an Instagram page. This is for individuals in the discovery stage, and it's really tailored to that target audience of people who like to be outdoors, anglers, hunters, whatever it may be, and how Ford can help facilitate those experiences for them. To build it, I used iMovie and published to Instagram, and it's something that could be not only published to Instagram, but also to Facebook and to YouTube, and to be used quite effectively there. There's lots of good opportunity for engagement and interaction, and we'll watch it here.
To me, this isn't a hobby, or even a sport. It's an obsession. So if I can't get out to this exact spot, at this exact time of year, I may as well be bowling.
I had a couple of key reflections about this project. My favorite piece of content to work on, to generate, was the blog post. I think I have good writing skills, but I hadn't ever really leveraged those into a marketable product or piece of content. So learning how to optimize a blog post for SEO, learning how to format it in a visually appealing way, learning how to use new tools like Squarespace was a really fun project. My most valuable takeaway would be to, wherever possible, make it personal. I leveraged in the blog post some personal experiences, and it's tricky if you don't have a lot of experience with the product, but I think trying to put yourself in the shoes of your audience is a really good way to ensure that it's relevant to them and that it'll land well. In terms of recommendations or things that I would do differently if I could do the project again, I would say to continually get out of your comfort zone, try new things, try new methods of creating content, new strategies, things you're uncomfortable with. I would also say to consistently evaluate how your content is fulfilling your objective or strategy goals. And I think that will help your content be more focused, it will be more relevant, and ultimately it'll help you achieve what your campaign was set out to do initially. And that was my project showcase. Thank you so much for listening.